About the bridge in Seaport, even from the seats in the upper decks, you could see the seashore. Tailgate function with the carne asada. Just walk from the tribal building for the Padres, I'm on it. Yeah, cause for the 619, we'll knock you down. Anything for the Brown, put it on the town. Started back rocking the Brown. Ever since we've been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Friars pregame show, October 7th, 2022. It is here. The Padres in the postseason, game one of the wild card series. Padres Mets tonight on ESPN. Scherzer against Darvish. Let's go. I'm pumped up for this. Cannot wait. I've been waiting all day for this. Man, I'm just watching the Guardians and the Rays play, and the Cardinals just choked against the Phillies. Epic choke job by Ryan Helsley, by the way. Holy cow, that's what he gets for using Hell's Bells as his walk-in song, I guess. Bad karma. Just watching these games, and yeah, there's a lot of intensity there, but I'm not emotionally into it. You know, when the Phillies are scoring those runs, I'm kind of just laughing to myself that how bad the Cardinals are choking, but I'm not emotionally into it. Like, I can't even imagine being a Cardinals fan watching that right there, or being a Phillies fan. Like, that's what I just hope doesn't happen with Hater tonight, where if the Padres get a lead and he turns into the Hater that we got, or that he was right when we got him from at the trade deadline from the Brewers. You know, that it's just postseason. You can't kneel the ball. You can't just pass the puck around and kill time. You can't just sit in your backfield and kill time like other sports. That's the greatness about postseason baseball and just baseball in general. It is not over until that final out. And that Cardinals Phillies game just proved that. Got the Blue Jays and the Mariners playing right now. Guardians beat the Rays today 2-1. And obviously, Padres Mets, prime time, ESPN, Scherzer, Darvish. The entire sports world has their eyes on this game tonight because there's no, at least from my knowledge, there's no like big football game on. This is it. And so it's cool to see that the Padres have the spotlight. I know technically it's the Mets who have the spotlight because they're at home. They're the favorites. Most of the attention is going to be on the Mets. They're the ones with Scherzer and DeGrom, but they're in this game. It wasn't only the Mets why ESPN decided to put this game at 5. You know, so I'm excited. Blake Snow starting game 2 tomorrow, but we're talking about game 1 today. Let me know in the chat your feelings, how you are feeling going into this game. Are you worried? Are you nervous, excited? I'm not worried. I'll probably be worried if, like, you know, the Mets get off to some hot start against Darvish in the first inning and they have runners on. Right now, I'm just excited for this game to start and get it going. I'll have the clips at Talking Friars on Twitter as always. I'm also on Instagram at Talking Friars. And I'm going to go through my normal pregame stuff, pitching matchups, talk about the pitching matchup, the bullpen situations, the lineups, what to watch for is my Padre pick. I'll continue that in this postseason. So let's get to it. Mets, 101-61 on the season. They are a wild card team despite winning 100 games, but they had the chance to take home that division and not be playing against us right now in this wild card. But they couldn't do it. They had DeGrom and Scherzer on the mound in Atlanta, and they all gave up home runs. Bassett didn't pitch that well either. Like, that's the beauty of baseball. Everyone wants to say DeGrom and Scherzer, and, you know, the Mets might be. I mean, I agree with their decision, but you could still say that they're kind of being cute here by not having Jacob DeGrom pitch in game 1 here instead of going Scherzer. But I think that's bulletin board material for the Padres. You're trying to save DeGrom and not pitch him at all in this series. You think that less of us? Like, you're not taking us seriously here? Take that. You know, shove it up Scherzer's you know what tonight. Get on him early and make them pitch DeGrom tomorrow. Imagine if the Padres beat DeGrom tomorrow and Scherzer today. Like, talk about confidence. They're going to have all the confidence in the world going into that Dodgers series against a Dodger team that has, you know, a lot of days off. They're not going to be hot going into that series, right? It's the Padres that are going to be hot. I know I'm jumping ahead, but just imagine that. And so no one really is picking the Padres. I looked on ESPN.com today, and they had 31 experts vote Padres Mets. Who do you pick in this wild card series? And experts, 27 of them picked the Mets, 4 picked the Padres. No one's picking the Padres to win. You look on MLB Network, it's all, chalk. It's all Mets. And I don't know. I mean, the Padres, they have what, a $235 million payroll or something this year. They went and got Juan Soto. They went all in on this season. And so it is a little surprising to me that the Padres are this big of an underdog. And like, it feels like no one's taking them seriously in this series. I'm sure the Mets are, but it doesn't seem like any of the national people are taking the Padres seriously. And they're the underdogs in this series. So it would be nothing better than to just get on the Mets early tonight and just shut up that Citi Field crowd and just take all that momentum away from them, anything that they try to gain, take it away and roll. So Darvish and Scherzer on the mound tonight. Again, the game is on ESPN app, 97.3 The Fan. That's your local broadcast, Jesse and Tony. So you can tune into that if you don't want to listen to Carl Ravage, David Cohn, and Eduardo Perez. Buster Only, that's the ESPN team tonight. Darvish, both of these guys, Darvish and Scherzer, they did not have their strongest starts last time out. Darvish against the White Sox last Friday night, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, walked a guy, only struck out 6. He's usually striking out like 8 or 9 guys. He did give up a home run. I believe that was to Eloy Jimenez. Ball was crushed. Wasn't his strongest start, but again, like I'm confident in you, Darvish. That was still a quality start that he did there. And we know that Max Scherzer can give up the long ball. Of course, you want Yu Darvish to be perfect, but if he goes 6 innings tonight and gives up like 1 run to this Mets offense, I am definitely going to be happy with that. And you send it to the bullpen. I mean, you want to get 7. There's been some really good pitching matchups today, but if you only get 6 out of Darvish today, it's like 1 run. Okay, that's fine. Move on, go to the bullpen. I like where this bullpen is at. Hader, obviously, no runs in his last 10 games, but I mean, that doesn't mean anything right now, right? But all that means is that I'm confident. That boosts my confidence in Hader going into this series. He's not struggling. He has the closer role, unlike what he had at one point, right? That was temporarily taken away from him. So I'm very confident in Hader, but that means nothing come game time, right? Because all that matters is what he does on the mound. We saw Ryan Helsley today. He's throwing 103, can't locate his fastball. And so when Hader's not locating his fastball, as we've seen, that's trouble. That Nationals game where he walked Nelson Cruz with the bases loaded and he hit Voit because he couldn't locate his breaking ball, right? So he still has to be on his game. But recently, he's been really good. Recently, Robert Suarez has been really good. No earned runs since August 29th. Nick Martinez, a 2.67 ERA as a reliever this year. So there's other guys in the bullpen, obviously. Manaea, 1 earned run in his last 10 innings. He made the roster today, by the way. Mike Clevenger did not. So I'm confident with where the bullpen is at right now. For me, a big question is, can the Padres get that big hit, that big home run off of Scherzer? Because Soto has a couple home runs off of Scherzer. Manny has a home run off of Scherzer, or 2 home runs, excuse me. Soto has 1. Josh Bell's in the lineup. He has a home run off of Scherzer. Myers is in the lineup. He has 2 home runs off of Scherzer, 3 extra base hits. Scherzer, I feel like he's going to give up a home run in this game. To me, it's who is going to come up, or not who, but are the Padres going to be able to come up with that big home run? Capitalize on Scherzer leaving a fastball over the middle of the plate. Because when home runs are given up by Scherzer, that's what usually the pitch is. It's not usually a breaking ball. It's usually just a fastball that he leaves middle, and the hitter capitalized on it. So I think that's something to look for. It could be early on. It could be in the 5th, 6th inning. That's something to look for. I mean, I'm not expecting Scherzer to go walking a bunch of people. That's just not who he is usually. I think it's location. You could say the same thing for Darvish, by the way. Darvish, last outing, he left some pitches over the middle of the plate, right? So, that 1 home run that he gave up to Jimenez, it was left over the middle of the plate. So, for me, the big key for both guys is location. Scherzer, it's more just location, like literally. For Darvish, as the outing goes on, he gets more comfortable. So for me, it's going to be looking at his location early on in that 1st inning, that 2nd inning. That's where he usually struggles, if he does struggle at all. So those are the things that I would look at. Padres, Mets here, Scherzer, Darvish. Scherzer in his last outing against the Braves gave up 4 earned runs, gave up 2 home runs. DeGrom would pitch tomorrow for the Mets if the Padres can get a win tonight. And DeGrom gave up like 3 home runs against the Braves last time out. When they needed to win those games to win the division, Scherzer and DeGrom didn't come up big. They came up pretty small for the Mets. So you hope that's what happens here tonight. By the way, I will be live after tonight's game right here on this stream, recording episode 200 and I think 44 is what it would be. 243 is out right now, by the way. I interviewed John Boggs, Tony Gwynn's agent. He's also Pierce Johnson's agent. And so we talked about a lot of different things, trade deadline, what it's like for him as an agent, who, if he's rooting for anyone in this series, a lot of good stuff. AJ Preller as a negotiator talk. It wasn't just postseason talk, but this was the time I could get him on. And so I figured I got to ask him a lot of different questions about a lot of different topics. So check that out. It's on podcast platforms and on this YouTube channel before this Padres game if you want to, or tomorrow morning, whenever. And then come back here live after the game. I will be live answering all of your questions. And we'll have a conversation about tonight's game. Hopefully, we're talking about a Padres win. As for the bullpen situation for the Padres, by the way, I will get to all of your comments in the chat. I will, don't worry. If you want to support the channel, you can use the super chat button, super thanks button on the regular videos. I appreciate your support just by being here. Bullpen situation for the Padres. I put out the bullpen chart on Twitter at Talking Friars. I recommend you give that a follow if you have not already. Not a whole lot to talk about. They obviously had the day off yesterday with the workout. The bullpen for the Padres in this wild card series is Josh Hader, Luis Garcia, Nick Martinez, Tim Hill, Sean Manaea, Adrian Morejon, Steven Wilson, Robert Suarez, and Pierce Johnson. They're going with 9 relievers, 3 starters, Musgrove, Snell, Darvish. They left Clevenger off the roster because they wanted to go with 14 position players. I saw a question about that in the chat earlier. No Cleb, no Sunshine, because they want to save him for game 1 of the division series if they get there, and they don't feel like they need Clevenger on the roster for this series. 13 pitchers is a lot, especially when it's not like it's Clev isn't like a specialty reliever. He's a starter. He's going to pitch multiple innings, and they already have a multiple innings guy in Manaea that can fill that role in this series if there's a blowout. Hopefully it's in the Padres' favor, who can come in. Morejon can pitch multiple innings. Nick Martinez can pitch multiple innings. Pierce Johnson, if he needs to, he can probably pitch multiple innings. I think he's pitched multiple innings this season before. So they have the guys that they need. They have enough pitching. They wanted to go with the 14 position players. You have Grisham starting today. If you want a Zokar to hit for him later in the game, and you don't, so therefore you wouldn't want to use a Zokar as a pinch runner somewhere, you have Brandon Dixon for that. If there's an injury or something, you have Brandon Dixon there. You have Will's in the lineup. You have Drury on the bench right now. Campy on the bench, Alfaro on the bench. So they wanted bench options against Buck Showalter's bullpen. They prioritized that over having that extra pitcher. Again, they already have multiple guys that can go multiple innings out of the bullpen if they need to. So I thought that was the right decision. I believe I put Clev. Yeah, I put Clev on my roster projection roster because I didn't want to go into the series after the series saying, dang, Clev could have been nice here. But I also realized that 9 pitchers, that's a good amount for 3 games. And if you have Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove, those guys, definitely Darvish and Musgrove, they go long. They're going to go 6 innings unless something terrible goes wrong. They're going 6 innings at least, I would think. And so you leave the next 6 innings combined for those games if it does go 3, and however many left after Snell leaves. Hopefully Snell goes 6 innings too. The bullpen can definitely shoulder that load, I think. And you have guys that can pitch 3 straight days if you need to. You have guys that definitely, obviously, all of them can pitch back-to-back days. So I think the pitching situation, it's in a good spot. I think the roster is in a good spot. And obviously, again, everyone is available today. Game 1 is arguably the most important game of a wild card series. I think I was listening to the ESPN telecast today, and they said that 70%, or it was somewhere around there, like 75% of the teams that win game 1, they go on and win the wild card series. So game 1 is very, very important, and expect both teams to go all out to win this game if they can, because that alleviates pressure. All the pressure is on that team that lost game one. The Cardinals, they have all the pressure on them tomorrow because they choked today. You know, the Phillies don't have to win tomorrow. So if the Padres can get a win today, they don't have to win tomorrow. You obviously would like to, but you don't have to. So you don't have the pressure on you. So they're going to try to go win today, balls to the wall, and just go all out today. And so are the Mets, I would think. So that's the bullpen situation. Let's get to the lineups. I'll start with the Mets. They're the home team. It is maybe a little surprising that Starling Marte is starting because a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday even, Buck Showalter, he didn't even want to commit at all to having Starling Marte on the roster. I think he was saying that he couldn't even grip a bat, couldn't swing the bat. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, now you're wasting a roster spot if you're going to have Marte on there. But all of a sudden, he's starting in right field tonight, so he can swing a bat. Seems like whatever rehab he did or whatever recovery plan he's on, it's working because he's starting in right field. That was a little surprising to me. I learned this morning that he made the Mets roster, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Maybe he plays game 2 or game 3, but right out of the chute, he starts in right field, batting 6th. They're not putting him down like 8th or 9th in the order, batting him middle of the order. So they believe, they know more than us. They believe that he can swing the bat, and he could probably play right field pretty well. So we will see. He has not played since like the beginning of September for the Mets in a major league game. So that's definitely another thing that I would watch for. They have Brandon Nimo leading off for them today in center field. He's been really good. Lindor's at shortstop. Jeff McNeil hit .326 this year in the regular season. NL batting title. He's batting 3rd. Alonso's batting 4th. 40 home runs this year. Watch out for McNeil and Alonso, obviously. Those are two big guys. Lindor as well. Nimo, it's a scrappy at bat. Nimo and Profar, I'd compare them really closely to one another. Both outfielders, both scrappy leadoff hitters, and probably going to drive the starter or the opposing pitcher's pitch count up right out of the gate, I would think. Daniel Vogelbach is DHing, batting 5th. Starling Marte's in right, as I mentioned. He is batting 6th. Mark Canha is in left field. He's batting 7th. Eduardo Escobar is at third base, batting 8th, former Twin and D-back. Tomas Nido is catching. He is batting 9th. He actually hasn't done too bad this year. They signed James McCann to that pretty decent-sized contract a couple off seasons ago, and he's not starting. He just has not had a great season this year. Darren Ruff, I believe, made the Mets roster as well, and some Mets fans were a little confused why he made the roster. Terrence Gore made the roster, so he's definitely going to pinch run for a Daniel Vogelbach or something late in the game if that situation presents itself. They have James McCann, Luis Guillorme on the bench. Francisco Alvarez, he's also on the bench. Their top prospect, catching prospect, so he might get an at-bat against Hader. I was listening to Buster Olney earlier today. He might get an at-bat against Hader, left on right matchup, I believe. When Hader's on the mound, Alvarez is a righty. If Hader's on the mound tonight, you're going to want as many righties as possible. So you might see Alvarez pinch hit. Nito's a righty, so you probably have him still in there, but for the lefties that are in that Mets lineup tonight, you might see them pinch hit if Hader's in the game later tonight. As for the Padres lineup, it has the same guys in the lineup as I expected yesterday when I was predicting the lineup. But shout out to Jeffrey if he's in here in the chat. He thought that Nola was going to hit 9th. I don't even remember the last time Nola has hit 9th for the Padres, and so I didn't really think that was going to happen. I thought they were just going to have Grish hit 9th in center and have Nola catch hitting 8th with Kim hitting 7th. But they're having Nola hit 9th. So Profar's leading off in left, Soto's in right hitting 2nd. Manny's at third base batting 3rd. Josh Bell, he is DHing batting 4th. I thought Crony was going to be in that spot, but Crony's actually batting 5th at second base. Myers is at first base. He's batting 6th. I am pumped to see Myers in a postseason lineup for the Padres. He has better numbers than Drury does against Scherzer. Drury entering today 1 for 11 against Max Scherzer, while Will Myers is hitting .280 off of him. He has 2 bombs, 3 extra base hits off of Scherzer. He's the best defensive first baseman on the roster. So I'm not surprised by Myers being in the lineup hitting 6 tonight. I think it's the best decision. Josh Bell, he has a homer. He's hitting 417 off of Scherzer in his career. So between Bell, Myers, and Drury, Bell and Myers, those were the two that needed to go to play today. And the Padres were going to have two of those three in there, and I thought they picked the right guys. So Myers batting sixth, Kim hitting seventh. He's at shortstop. Grish batting eighth in center. And as I said, Nola, he is catching. He is hitting ninth. Nola 1 for 4 off of Scherzer so far in his career. Grisham 2 for 17, 118 average, so not great, but they don't have him in there for his bat. They do, I guess, for like his power potential. And wouldn't it be great if he took Scherzer yard tonight? Been struggling at the plate. He went half a month without getting a hit, more than that, before this Giant series started. This last series the Padres played in the regular season. If he comes up and hits a home run, talk about postseason. I mean, I wouldn't be that surprised. I'd be super pumped. But let's face it, they do have Grisham in the order for his defense, and he showed it off in that Giant series. So maybe a Zokar comes in matchup wise. If they have a lead, you would think that they want Grisham to still be in there because they have a lead and they want the defense. But I am not surprised by the guys that are in this lineup. I like the lineup. Bob Melvin, he's not having a bunch of lefties hit in a row. He's not having a bunch of righties hit in a row. He is spreading the lefties out. Soto, Profar is going to lead off hitting lefty because Scherzer's a righty. Then they have Bell, who will be a lefty, Crony, but then they have a righty. They have two righties in there after Bell and Crony. Then they have a lefty and Grisham before righty and Nola. So it's a balanced lineup. I like the lineup. I'm confident going into this game, and I want to see what you guys think. By the way, the Mariners, they are up 4-0 now on the Blue Jays. Cal Raleigh hit a home run in that first inning, so they have jumped on the Blue Jays early. The Mariners are probably the AL team that I'm rooting for. All right, let's get back to the chat, or get to the chat here. I haven't really gotten to the chat yet, but let's see what's happening here. Brian Perez is a Dodger fan, so I'm going to put him in timeout. Michael, he says he is wound up for the series. I agree. I am super excited for this series. Long Ball says, first time in my life I'm watching the Pods in the postseason following a full season. Yep. I probably watched him when I was 3, but you'd have to ask my parents about that. I don't remember that. So this is the first real playoffs that I'm going to experience in my lifetime. DVD Pash says, how do you feel about Grish in the lineup? I like it. Azokar, he doesn't give you any power. At least Grisham gives you the power potential, and Scherzer gives up home runs. I feel like it's going to come down to the home run tonight. So, and you want Grisham's defense over Azokar. So I'm fine with it. Scherzer's a righty. Grisham is a lefty. I'm good having him hit ninth. I was encouraged by what I saw from him in that Giants series. I know it's the Giants, but he still made some solid contact. Better than what we were seeing, at the end of September, right? Jason says LFGSD. I agree with that. Jason says the Mets are 10-10 since DeGrom's comeback in August. Yeah. Man, it kind of reminds me of that one season, maybe it was both seasons, when he won the Cy Young and he had like a losing record with the Mets. Some of it's DeGrom's fault, like that Braves start last time out. That was DeGrom. I know the offense didn't score a lot of runs there for the Mets, but DeGrom gave up, I think, 3 home runs in that start. That's on him. And you hope that happens tomorrow, meaning that the Padres win tonight so that they have to have DeGrom go pitch tomorrow, and he craps the bed, right? Michael says they need to make Max throw a lot of pitches in the first inning, drive his pitch count up. I agree. Having Profar and Soto up there, that definitely helps. DVD Pash asked, can't Will play center? Yes, he can. He was listed as an infielder on the roster today. Once that happened, I felt pretty good that he was going to play first base today. And I think that they want to prioritize defense in center field. In a game with Darvish and Scherzer, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes is going to win, I think. So they're prioritizing defense. And Drury doesn't have great numbers off of Scherzer in his career. and neither does Grisham. So you're going with the defense. Myers plays better first base defensively, I think, than Drury, and Grisham plays better defense in center than Myers does. I don't even know if the coaching staff really thought too much about having Myers in center, at least to start off this game. Jason's calling a Profar leadoff bomb. Okay, I like that. Derpy Gaming says he's a Guardians fan here. He says, I think the Mets win tonight because it's playoff Scherzer, but I could be wrong because we're talking about the Mets. They could Mets it up. Who knows? Yeah, I see what you did there. Yeah, Mets fans, they are tense. They are, I don't know, scared's the word to put it, but they are on their seats. They're the favorites. They're the people that have the pressure on them, at least from a national perspective. I've putting pressure on the Padres. I think they should win this series. I think they can win it. I've said multiple times this season that I don't think that it's a successful season for the Padres if they don't at least get to the division series. Like, you lose to a wild card team. I know the Mets they won 101 games, but the way the pitching's pitching right now, as a whole, I'm confident in it. I think the Padres have a better bullpen than the Mets do. So I'm putting expectations on the Padres, but the media isn't. Their expectations are all on the Mets. The Mets have the pressure, so I'm sure they're feeling it. Marco says, if you saw the Guardians-Rays game, I think that's how today's Padres game will look like. It will be a tight game, but in the end, the home team will take the victory. I hope not. So you're meaning that, like, Lindor's going to hit a 2-run home run late? I hope not. That's how it worked. It was 0-0 for a little bit. Both starting pitchers pitched really well. And then the Rays center fielder, Siri, hit a home run, and then Ramirez hit a 2-run homer. So I hope maybe that's how the game plays out, but I hope that it's the road team that wins today, obviously. Yeah, Jeffrey, I agree. I'm interested in how Marte looks as well. There was talk, as I said, about him not being able to hold a bat. So is he out there just to stand up at the plate as a threat? I don't know. You would think that Buck would not put him in the lineup if he can't swing the bat well. But I would go attack Marte, I'll tell you that. Irie, I agree here. All we need is a little bit of willpower. That would be cool. Having Will show up in a big moment like this in the postseason. Remember, this is his first full postseason appearance with fans and everything. So, or maybe it is with the Padres. I think, did he make the post? He might have made the postseason in 2012 with the Rays, but this is his first real postseason appearance with the Padres. And he's definitely not going to be the name that the Mets are most focused on. Scott says, if Grish can make a hit, I think this game goes good for us. If he has a big time hit, if he has a hit that brings up obviously the top of the order, so that's good. But I need to know the situation. Padres could be down by 4 runs or something. Grish gets a hit. That's not going to do anything. Jason, I disagree here. He says leaving Chris Matt off was the big surprise. No, he was called up because Klev was put on the IL for the COVID stuff, the COVID test. And he threw 3 innings on Wednesday. There was no way that he was going to be on the roster. There's no point in having him on the roster. What's his role? Multiple innings? They have Mania for that. Morahone can do that. Martinez can do that. They have many guys that can fill that role. So I think you're wasting a roster spot with Chris Matt just sitting at the end of the bullpen when you could use Brandon Dixon for that as a potential, pinch runner. Or you could have Campy on there as a potential pinch hitter, or catch Musgrove on game 3. I don't know. I wasn't surprised with Chris Matt being left off. It was like Stammen. They pitched their butt off on Wednesday to save the arms for the bullpen this series. They knew they weren't going to make the roster. They're with the team. They helped the team. the Padres go on and win this series, or they need a big performance collectively out of the bullpen, and the bullpen shows up, they help the team because those guys were fresh to do that. Padres lover 619 asked, why is Drury not in the lineup? He doesn't have good numbers against Scherzer. Myers is the better defensive first baseman. Drury's 1 for 11 off of Scherzer. Myers is hitting 280, 2 home runs, 3 extra base hits. I think he's hitting around 300 in his last 20 games. Myers is. I'm not saying Drury sucks, but you can see him in the lineup tomorrow. But as for matchups today, that's why. Yeah, Tupac13 says smash that like button, share, and subscribe. I encourage you to do so. I appreciate your guys' support. Pre-game shows, I've done it the entire year. Anyone that's been with me the whole year, they know pre-game shows before every game, or at least some type of pre-game content. And then I'll have my reaction after the game clips at Talking Friars on Twitter. All right, today I'm going to go with Manny as my Padre pick. Last game was Will. He didn't get a hit. I'm 102-54 so far this season in my pregame show Padre Pick. If you're just tuning in, the Padre Pick is what I do. It's just a fun little thing I do where I pick one Padre who I think will get a hit. If I could only pick one guy, who is that one guy? I try not to repeat guys too much. Tonight, I'm going to go with Manny. I think him and Soto, I mean, this isn't a bold thing. This isn't like a hot take. But I think Manny and Soto, if they go, the Padres will go. You can have great pitching and all that, but like Soto and Manny, they didn't do that great in that Dodgers series at home. And I said, reacting to that series, they're going to have to step up come postseason time. And I think that Manny, I think he will step up tonight, by the way. I think they're going to have to step up if they're going to want to win this series, and definitely if they're going to want to contend with the Dodgers if the Padres do win this wild card series and Manny and Soto don't really step up too much at the plate. I think both will. Soto with the Soto shuffle, he knows Scherzer well. So I'm confident in this lineup. I'm confident in this pitching staff. There's no one I'd rather have on the mound tonight on this pitching staff starting this game than Yu Darvish tonight. And the Mets would probably rather have DeGrom over Scherzer if they, had a gun to their head and a lie detector test. But they're trying to save DeGrom so he doesn't have to pitch in this Padres series and so he can pitch game 1 of the division series. They think that less of us. They're trying not to pitch him. They think that they can get past us without having to throw to Grom. That's bulletin board material right there. Padres being ranked as the worst pitching staff among postseason teams yesterday by MLB.com. That's bulletin board material. The Padres have a lot of it. They're underdogs. No one thinks they're going to win, at least like national media-wise. Big majority of people picking the Mets. All the pressure's on the Mets. Go out and have fun. Let's go win this thing. All right, Talking Friars pregame show. That's it. October 7th, 2022. First pitch in less than 2 hours. I'm excited. Scherzer, Darvish, ESPN, 97.3 The Fan. Ben Fan signing off. I'll be back after the game. See everybody. Go Pods.